plenty to edit then.
There we go. Now we're recording.
Okay.
Oh, I was recording the whole time. Dang it. That's okay. And I do very little editing. It takes too much time. So we're in back in the utility room with Jay Allen. And Jay, tell us what we're looking at here.
What you're looking at?
What are we looking at?
Well, this is the water softener loop.
Okay.
We loop the pipes together basically just for testing right now.
Okay, so this gets a brine tank?
Yeah, this will get a resin tank and a brine tank. The brine tank is what holds the salt or the sodium, potassium, whatever you use for your material to soften the water, and then the resin tank hooks up here. So this is a 1-inch pipe. This is the supply line that comes in from the water meter.
Okay, now that supply line. Oh, it comes from the water heater. Okay.
The water meter.
The water meter, not the water heater.
The meter.
So that supply line, I'm just going to pan over here for a minute because that supply line, that 1-inch line, is the water supply. It comes into the building on the outside right there with a pressure regulator on the outside of the building, comes up the wall, comes over, and then gets into this wall and drops down.
Right here.
So this is the first place the water enters the building and actually goes into something.
That's correct.
Right? And the first place it goes is through the water softener?
To the water softener first. To soften or treat the water before it goes into any part of the house.
Even before it goes
into the water heater. Right. Really important that Ismail has drawn arrows on here so that if he's not the guy coming back, we know for sure which direction the water flows. Typically on a softener up to 1.25 inches, it flows from right to left. Water softeners that are 1.5 inches or higher, it goes from left to right. So it's just a nice reminder to do that.
No kidding.
So from here it goes through the water softener, it goes back into the framing where Rodney just showed you. It goes, there's a T back there, and it goes 3/4 cold, soft to the rest of the house, and then this insulated line right here above my head is 3/4 line that feeds the on-demand water heater. The next line over here with the insulation on it is the return line, and this line here is the hot water out that leaves the water heater and goes and circulates all through the house to all the fixtures in the house. And at the farthest fixture, it turns around and just comes all the way back to the water heater.
So it loops all the way back. So the water goes through the house.
It leaves the water heater. Right. As you open a faucet somewhere in the house, it will leave the water heater. And at the same time, it enables the recirc pump to turn on, and it starts circulating hot water through the heater and through the system so that when you turn on that water within, ideally, about 10 seconds, you'll get hot water.
Okay, so in the meantime, the pipes are charged.
They're
under pressure, and the
right.
valves. The valves. Yeah, I'm loosening that a little bit too much. Yeah. The valves at the faucets keep it from going anywhere.
That's right.
And when you turn on a cold water faucet, the cold water, which is not attached to the hot water.
That's right.
Where's cold water?
Comes
right out of the softener?
It comes right out of the softener, and you can't see it, but on the other side in the ceiling lid, the pipe changes from 1 inch to 3/4. It goes 3/4 to the rest of the house, and then it goes 3/4 to the water heater.
Okay. So the cold, separate circuit, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Doesn't do anything to the water heater.
No, not at all.
When you turn on the hot water faucet, it triggers all kinds of stuff. It triggers the recirc pump to happen.
Right.
So that starts happening. Then it doesn't happen like a regular recirc pump, which is kind of almost happening all the time, right? It doesn't need a faucet to turn on.
These particular heaters have two different options for recirculation. You can buy a separate control for about $100, and you can set it to basically like a timer. So you can have the recirc come on at 6 in the morning till 10, and again at 6 at night till 10 whenever your peak water usage is. If you opt not to buy that extra timer, it has like a smart control feature in it where it keeps track of your hot water usage. So after about a week or two of living in the house, it will kind of know when you tend to use hot water, and so it will anticipate those times and the pump will come on a few minutes before those times, so that when you do use them, it's actually hot. It's pretty amazing. It works well. Now, if you normally take a shower at 6 and you start taking showers at midnight, it will still come on at midnight and circulate a little bit in case you're going to do that. So it gets a little, sometimes it can get a little confused, but it's a very handy feature.
But you don't put a recirc pump in every vessel heater. I mean, not every water heater system you put in has a recirc pump. Right?
No, I mean, it's really, if it's something that the owner wants.
Yeah.
You know,
I think, standing there for a minute plus in my damn front bathroom, I'm thinking, what is it, approximate cost to add into an existing system to put in a recirc pump?
well, it depends. I mean, if your piping is below the slab, it's really challenging to do. If your piping is in an attic space or under a raised foundation, it's much easier to do. What we have to do is go to your farthest hot fixture and cut in a T and run a cold line all the way back to your water heater and put a pump there between that line and your water heater. And then we insulate it as well. And if you are on an older home and you didn't have to insulate your pipes as part of the code, then chances are none of the hot water lines are insulated, and we would offer insulating those lines as well.
Right, none of mine are insulated.
Right.
These are all insulated though, per code. Anything that's carrying hot water is going to be insulated.
That's right, nowadays, yeah.
Going to be insulated, and then, because I'm thinking but this guy has a built-in recirc, so as soon as you turn on the hot water, it starts recircing everywhere, and then it seems ideally then every fixture's gonna be hot.
Right. We try to get our hot water loop within a minimum of 10 feet from the fixture, so that when you open the faucet, usually it's less than 10 seconds and you'll have hot water flowing. Sometimes it could be as quickly as 1 or 2 seconds, almost immediately.
Really good, because I'm sure some of you can relate to having to wait for water to get hot, and it's kind of a drag.
Right.
This
it saves water.
And it saves you water, big time. This right here, I still got Jay's head in there. What am I seeing here, Jay? This thing above me.
Oh, this is the vent for the water heater, and this has an air intake and the heat out.
So is the air intake in here? Or no, the air takes...
It takes air from the roof, on the top of the roof, and brings it into the water heater.
It's the combustion air.
The combustion air, so that it functions properly. Without combustion air,
then it starves.
It would starve, and it would...
Fuel and air and a spark.
Yeah.
There's some kind of ignition.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Without combustion air, it would go bam every time it turned on and shut off. We've had it happen before.
I hate that. Okay, what else in here? What else can you tell me here? Because we got some condensate, it looks like.
This is the drain line for the water softener.
Now, every water softener has a brine tank?
Yes, if it's a softener that you add salt or sodium potassium.
And is that what that's for?
That's what this is for. This is for when the water softener regenerates, which is based on gallons used. It is about a 2-hour cycle to regenerate, and it needs to dump the water someplace when it does that. So this water line, or this drain line, gets pushed from the pressure in the system. It pushes the water to a location. The location we've chosen here, and we do most often, is to the laundry box, which is over in the garage.
So is it pushing it without a pump?
Without a pump. It's just pressure from the city.
Okay. So it doesn't need gravity. It'll pump. It'll push it up.
It'll pump as high as 16 feet.
But like a condensate line, like if we don't have the gravity, what we do? When do we have to pump them? When do we have to start pump?
Here, in this instance, the one thing about Navian heaters is that they condense.
Okay, so there's a
condensate
line.
Yeah, so as they heat up, they condense, and there's a drain in the bottom of them to collect that condensation, and that's got to be pumped someplace. So this line down here we have set up. We're going to mount a pump down here that will take the water from the condensate water from the water heater into this pump, and it's going to pump it up and over to the same laundry location as the water softener drain.
I should have been moving that down when he showed that. So there's the condensate line.
Here's the condensate line.
A pump.
Pump's going to be mounted in here. That'll happen on finish after it's all drywalled and painted and all that. And then it'll connect from here to the pump and from the pump to here. And it'll pump.
We got a duplex outlet there for your pump, right?
That's for the pump.
Wired
That's
duplex
power
outlet.
for the pump.
They can-
Power for the water heater.
Power for the water heater, which is 110, right?
110 and power for the water
Power
softener.
for the water softener. And the thing that you got to remember is that the water softener has a drain line. It's under pressure, so it doesn't need to be pumped. And
That's
that
right.
thing is going up overhead over the garage, and it's dropping down. And it's going. I'll show you when we go in there, but it's dropping down and tying into the laundry waste.
That's right.
line.
Yep.
And the condensate line, just like an air conditioning compressor has condensate line, and
Right.
forced air units that have pumps, etc., have condensate lines, has to go to a sanitary tee.
Right.
Can't go outside like we want to ask you about temperature, pressure, relief in a minute, but it has to go to sanitary waste. And when we say sanitary waste, we mean the waste that goes from your shower, your faucet, and your sinks, and your toilet all goes down to a sanitary waste. Everything that
That's right.
leaves this building goes to sanitary waste. We have
Yeah.
no gray water systems around here.
Yeah.
Now anyway.
Yeah, there are some exceptions if you can't get it to a sanitary waste. Sometimes the building department will allow you to put it into the ground if you build a gravel pit.
I see. Okay. So
It
like
is
a
the
dry-
water. The
small
water,
dry well?
the small dry well. The water is slightly acidic, so they prefer not to do that. But there are some times where you just don't have a way to get anywhere.
Huh. So we're pumping the condensate, and we could conceivably the condensate, if we had a drain nearby that we could get a 1/4 inch fall, we could just tie it into the drain.
You could just tie it into a drain. Yeah.
But from here over to our nearest drain at the laundry, there's no way to get fall because
That's
the
right.
drain comes out the bottom.
That's right. Yeah.
Because at the bottom we can't get through a doorway. If that
Yeah.
doorway wasn't there,
You could probably make it.
we
You might make it.
through
Yeah.
the wall.
Now, one other thing I'll mention about these is that we put an acid neutralizer on that condensate drain to neutralize the acid before the slight acidity in the condensate as it gets pumped.
Okay.
And we would do the same if it went into a dry well. You put a neutralizer in there to cut back on the acid.
Notice not dumping a bunch of acid waste.
Yeah.
What's this down here, Jay? What's this copper pipe?
This copper pipe right here is the temperature and pressure relief valve.
Sometimes known as the TNP.
The TNP, which every water heater has to have by code for good reason.
Vessel or
It doesn't matter. Any type of water heating, whether it be a boiler, a standing pilot heater, or a tankless water heater, has to have a temperature and pressure relief valve.
what does that do?
And what that does is if the water heater for some reason fails to turn off, and we call that something like a runaway heater, and the thing continues to heat and heat and heat and heat past its normal capacity, if you don't have a place for that excess pressure that happens when you build heat, it will just explode.
Blow up.
So instead, the temperature and pressure relief valve opens and discharges the hot water.
And it's just set to at either.
It's either 200. It's either
pressure, and it opens.
it's either 210 degrees or 150 pounds pressure.
That's pretty scalding.
210 degrees. The water heaters are standardly set at 120 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. So so temperature and pressure reliefs also have to conform to one thing. They have to leave the building,
That's right.
and then they turn down. So where do you
Right.
see that pipe leave
Down
the
here.
building right here? It's going to go out, and it's going to leave the building past the stucco, and it's going to turn down with an elbow, and that's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, it's supposed to be between 6 and 18 from finish grade. 6 and
Okay.
18 inches from
Minimum
finish grade.
16, no
6.
More than 6, no more than 18, and it's
That's right.
also got to go to the outside, and if it can't go to the outside, it also has to be pumped, right?
No,
Can't you dump them to a Smitty pan and then pump from there?
they do not really like you to do it in a Smitty pan. There's another way of doing it, which is kind of, we don't use them very often, but there's a device that you can attach to the temperature pressure relief valve that will actually turn the gas off if it gets to a runaway
They'll buy
situation.
that.
Yeah, if you have no other choice.
Yeah, because in some cases, slab on grade, water heater in the middle of the building,
Sometimes down in a basement.
where are you gonna go? How are
Down
you
in a
gonna get
basement. A
outside?
lot of times in a basement, we're allowed to run them into a floor sink
Yeah, that's what mine do.
if there's no other way to get outside to grade. If you have to go up and out, they don't
They don't work.
work.
So
They won't allow you. I mean, it should work theoretically because it's under pressure. It'll push it, but they don't want you to go up and out. It's got to go at a 1/4 inch per foot out.
So you can't legally dump your TNP down into a Smitty pan and then have your Smitty pan be outside?
No.
It's gotta go outside.
No. Can I take this call?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Hi, Juan.
Now this is a typical call Jay's receiving. I'm gonna let you know this roll so we can see Juan's got to
Okay.
say. Maybe I'll stop it for a minute. Stop it for a minute.
Okay.